So, today we're going to dig into the story of a search engine that might be a blast from the past for some of you, or maybe a name you've never even heard before. Dogpile. Its story is all about a really simple but powerful idea that kind of challenged the whole way we find stuff online. But to get why Dogpile was even a thing, we first have to tackle a big assumption most of us make about the internet.
All right, let me ask you a quick question. When you search for something, do you just assume you're getting the answer from the web? You know, that if you searched on Google and then on Bing, you'd pretty much get the same stuff? Yeah, most of us have thought that for a long, long time.
But what if I told you that's not just wrong? It's really wrong. There was this landmark study back in 2005 that found something absolutely wild. When they looked at the top search results from the biggest engines at the time, we're talking Google, Yahoo, all of them, only 1.1% of those first page results were the same across the board. Just over 1%. Let that sink in. And this wasn't just, a few links being in a different order. It meant that each search engine was basically looking at its own unique slice of the internet. They each had their own secret sauce, right? A different algorithm, different priorities for what they thought was important. They weren't just ranking things differently. A lot of the time, they were seeing completely different websites altogether. So what that means for you is, if you were only using one search engine, you were missing a huge chunk of what was out there. I mean, you might find some great results, sure, but what about the amazing stuff that was only popping up on a different engine? How could you ever be sure you were really getting the best of the web? Well, this exact problem led to a really, really clever solution, a whole different kind of search tool. It was called the Metasearch engine. Okay, so let's break down what that actually means, because it sounds complicated, but it's not. A meta-search engine doesn't have its own spiders crawling the web. Instead, think of it like a master detective. When you type something in, it sends your query out to a bunch of other search engines all at once, grabs the top results from each of them, and then culls it all together into one super list for you. And this brings us right to Dogpile's origin story. Its creator, a guy named Aaron Flynn, built it way back in 1996 for that exact reason. He was just fed up with how different the results were everywhere he looked. He wanted one tool that could ask all the big players at the time, like Yahoo, Alta Vista, Lycos, and bring back the absolute best of the best. The process was, and honestly, it still is, just brilliantly simple. You type your search in once on Dogpile, it then goes and does all the hard work, shooting your query out to its partners, fetching the top links from each one, and then handing you a single, organized list. So you do the work of one search, but you get the power of many. Simple, right? But so effective. And for a while there, this beautifully simple idea made Dogpile an absolute star on the early internet. With its friendly little mascot, Arfie the dog, it kind of became the web's best friend and really entered its golden age. Its journey was pretty remarkable. After launching in '96, it got snapped up by InfoSpace in 2000 as part of a much bigger deal. Then it really hit its stride in the mid-2000s, winning some huge awards for just how good it was. It even launched a really cool charity project in 2008, before being acquired again in 2016. And hey, it wasn't just popular. This thing was critically acclaimed. Dogpile won the super prestigious J.D. Power Award for Best Online Search Service, not once, but 2 years in a row, in 2006 and 2007. That was a huge deal, and it really showed just how much people loved the quality of the results they were getting. But here's something really cool. Dogpile also had a big heart. In 2008, it started this program called Search and Rescue. The idea was genius. The more that people used Dogpile, the more money they would donate to animal charities like the ASPCA. It literally turned the simple act of searching the web into a way to do some real good. And it was a massive hit. Get this, in just the first few months after the program launched, Dogpile users helped raise over $100,000 for the cause. It was just this perfect mix of a clever brand and a mission that people could really get behind. But you know how it goes. While Dogpile was winning awards and helping puppies, the internet itself just never stops changing. The whole world of search started to shift dramatically, especially as Google grew into the giant it is today, and Dogpile's own story became more about who owned it.
Yeah, the company's history is pretty much a timeline of acquisitions. It started out on its own, then got bought by Go2net, then Go2net was famously bought by InfoSpace right in the middle of the dot-com boom, and then way later, in 2016, it was sold again to a company that eventually became System1, who owns it today.
So that all brings us to now. What's the deal with Dogpile today? And what's the big takeaway from its whole story? I mean, does that original idea still matter?
Well, if you look at its features, you can see how it's had to adapt. A lot of its older tools from around 2013, like a white pages search or something called IntelliFind, they're gone now. The web just changed. But the core stuff that helps you see what's popular, like favorite fetches, that's still there. It's definitely become a more focused, streamlined tool. And yep, Dogpile is still very much alive and kicking. It's still a meta-search engine. But now, instead of asking Alta Vista, it's fetching results from the modern heavyweights: Google, Yahoo, Bing, Yandex, and a bunch of other places.
So what this all really means is that after all of these years, after all the owners and all the changes to the internet, that fundamental idea behind Dogpile hasn't changed at all. It's still built on this core belief that to really see the whole picture, you've got to look beyond what just one search engine wants to show you.
And you know, that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question for today. We live in this age of algorithms and so-called filter bubbles, right? Where the internet is constantly trying to show us more of what it thinks we already like, creating these little echo chambers. In a world like that, maybe the original idea behind Dogpile, the idea of breaking out of a single point of view to get a wider, more diverse set of results, well, that might just be more important than it's ever been.